today I'm going to show you how to make basic yellow cake. When we get into our cake lab, there's this huge lab that everyone's going to take a different type of cake, and then we all share together. The reason why I'm showing you the basic yellow cake is if you can make the basic yellow cake, you should be able to expand on the basic yellow cake and make pretty much any kind of cake you want, kind of. Before I get into it, a yellow cake is, when we talked about cakes, there are two types of cake categories. There's shortened cakes and there's unshortened cakes. Shortened cakes have butter in them or fat ingredient, like a yellow cake, a white cake, pretty much all the cakes you're probably pretty much used to making and eating. Then there's the unshortened category, and those in most cases are made with no fat, using eggs in different ways. And in a little bit there will be another video where you'll see the angel food cake, which is unshortened. So we're going to be doing the yellow cake, which is shortened, and the reason it's shortened is because we're going to be using a fat ingredient of shortening. Some yellow cake recipes use butter, oil, all that good stuff. As long as it has the fat ingredient, you know it's a shortened cake. Okay? I've already pre-measured the ingredients. You will have a day, probably depending on time with your teacher, to pre-measure your ingredients. So I have everything ready to go, all your staple ingredients. You are going to be mixing this in a kitchen mixer. If there's not enough or whatnot, you could mix this by hand, but for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to show you the kitchen mixer. For the basic cake mix, I am going to be using just the paddle attachment. Just as a recap, this slips on just like so. And then, when you're moving, make sure that this is up. And we're ready. Make sure it's going to work before we start putting our ingredients. And we're good to go. So, you are going to be or multiplying your original amounts by 4. So before you start pre-measuring or planning and whatnot, make sure you check with your teacher to make sure that the amounts are correct. For this recipe, we are going to start by putting our sugar in, and I use 1.5 cups. Okay. Then I'm going to put my shortening in. So sugar and shortening go in first. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because this is going to create a creamy texture. This technique is known as creaming, by putting your butter and sugar first. And I'm going to start out on low. And move up gradually. And you see what's happening is the sugar is dissolving into the shortening. And this would happen with butter, margarine, whatever you use. Our recipe calls for shortening for a rich texture. Sugar adds the flavor. It's going to start clumping together, and that's what we want. And sugar is grinding against the fat molecules, giving our cake a nice texture when it's done. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to combine our dry ingredients, which is our flour, and I have 2¼ cups of flour. So, garbage. See, notice I'm cleaning as I go. A lot of students will just leave all these little baggies at their table, and then it creates a mess. You can easily just throw the baggie away as you go, and then you don't have as big of a mess when it comes time for cleanup. Okay, so there's my baking powder, which is my leavening agent. So I have my baking powder to help it rise the cake. And then my salt, just to help with flavor. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give this a quick little mix so it's all ready. That's good. Okay. So I have my dry ingredients ready to go. I need 1 cup and 1/4 cup of milk, so I already have that ready to go. And then I have my eggs. I need 3 eggs. I'm just going to beat them. I've already cracked them. You're going to use the whole egg, shell and white. Some of your recipes, if you get assigned a different recipe, may only have you use part of the egg. Most shortened cakes are going to use the whole part of the egg. And that is good. So my next step, I've creamed my shortening and my sugar. I'm going to put in my eggs on low. I'm just going to scrape the sides to make sure that I get all my sugar. Don't do this while the KitchenAid mixer is moving because you could break this or hurt yourself. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternately add in my, let me turn this low, a little bit of my dry to a little bit of my liquid, just to give this a nice smooth texture and to incorporate the dry and the liquid ingredients equally. A little bit more. If you have this on full speed, you're going to have a big mess of flour in your face, and you're pretty much going to have to start over, and then your teacher will be very disappointed in you. I'm just going to add in the rest of my dry, and then the rest of my liquid. It's looking beautiful, nice and perfect. And then I'm just going to stop it to scrape the sides once more, and one last time. Get all this good flour. We want this cake to be perfect. Okay, it's so much better than store-bought, no preservatives. Give it one quick last stir. Oh, it's looking perfect. And there we go. So now, just take this off by pushing up. That should come right off. Take this. Now I'm going to prep my pan. You could prep your pan first. I just couldn't wait to get started on the cake, so that's why I didn't prep my pan first. But in class, I would have your pan prepped. So what I've done is you're going to have two small round pans. There's different modifications of pan sizes that you can be using. It says that on your recipe, but I'm going to be using round, so I can make a double layered cake. So what I'm doing here is there are a couple options you can do. You need to make sure that your pan is greased. I am using shortening. I just take a little paper towel and I just take my shortening and I coat the inside. You can also use Pam, that's fine. Whatever your teacher has available. You want to make sure you grease up your pan or else your cake will stick and then you won't be able to decorate it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of flour in there over the garbage can. I'm just going to pat this around. This helps prevent sticking also. So it comes out nice, clean cut. There we go. Just to shake it. So just a little will stick. One pan's good to go. Another pan. Make sure you get on the sides. And there we go. Then what you're going to do, take all the batter, I'm going to scoop it a little bit into each one so it's equal, and eyeball it. Make sure you get every last drop of that cake. You don't want to have unequal portions. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to smooth it over. Another way you can do this is just by simply tapping it and that helps level it off. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to bake this. And since I'm using the 9-inch rounds, we're going to bake this for about 30 to 35 minutes. Because we're in this room, we're using the convection oven, I would check that probably after about 20 just to see. Go over there. I'm going to put it wherever there's space. 350, which is the most common baking temperature. I'm going to put this right in the center. my timer, about 20, so I can check it, even though my recipe says 30 to 35. I just want to make sure we're not burning anything. Thank you. Now our cake, our yellow cake is done. We need to let it cool at room temperature. Just going to set it right down here. Let it cool. And then as soon as it's cool, we will take them out of the pans. If you're unsure if the cake is done, you can just take a toothpick or a knife, put it right in the center, and then that will determine if it comes out clear, then you are good to go. Enjoy your cake.